I get a lot of mail from discouraged pastors. Going to read one of those next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. Having a lid of a holy cacao this morning. Our Headbangers brew. Good to the last drop, let me just say. Great stuff. And we have the mugs and the t-shirts and the posters. I know, it's cool. And all of this stuff right here. wearemetal.wearefamily.com. Discouraged pastors. I get a lot of questions from discouraged pastors. I try to answer them all personally because I know how important it is. I don't always get there, but here's one that's fairly typical. Dear Pastor Bob, as a fellow pastor, I know at different times the Lord will direct us to new works and new ministries. Also, we find that not every church that we accept to pastor is always a good fit. Regardless, we try to serve the best we can and pray that God does mighty works in the congregations where we're at. I am currently pastoring a small church with a lot of older people who are not able to do much. I have some that are younger that just don't help. That leaves me and my wife to have to be pastor, secretary, cleaning crew, handyman, yardman, so many other hats. Despite sermons that asking and showing people that we are supposed to serve, those that are able still just don't. The people keep reminding us that they want things the way they were under the last pastor who quit suddenly because he and his family were overworked. This has become a major thorn in our flesh and is starting to cause us to feel resentful toward the people. It is also causing me to be angry with God for putting me there. So, how do you know when it's time to just move on from a particular work? We all say that we don't want to leave until God releases us, but I fear that if we continue to stay, that our feelings of resentment will grow until it harms the church more than it helps the church. I get it. And there are so many pastors out there that are overworked and underpaid and feeling overwhelmed and feeling stuck. I think I told you that a few years back, there was a major poll done with pastors. And they asked them, have you in the last 6 months seriously considered leaving the pastorate? And 65% said yes. A lot of hurting pastors. Why? Because, folks, the example of what church has become isn't what the Bible says it needed to be. And as I'm working on my book, which is called Teach, Meet, Eat, Pray, and we look at those foundations of the church, I wonder if some of the meetings that go on Sunday in a building are actually even church. Church is people, we've talked about that. People meeting together and doing these key things. It's not a spectator sport where people just come and watch and go home and expect all the niceties in the meantime. It isn't the proper care and feeding of a building. It's the interaction with the people. And dare I say to all my pastor friends out there, that's your responsibility to make sure that people understand what a foundation of real church is like. And if you have to change things up to do it, you ought to. What are some of the things you can do? Well, change up the Sunday service. If that's the only thing people are coming to, do it a little differently. If you have pews are hard to turn, but if you have chairs, turn them so people are kind of facing each other and speak in the middle and have some interaction. Break into small groups after a service. Sit down and talk to people on a stool, not up on the platform, but sitting down and just chatting. More intimate. People are able to comment and discuss. If you're able to add some more services, add some things where you just get together and eat and have a good time together. or a prayer service where you really lift each other's needs up, or whatever it might be. There are a lot of things you can integrate into your service that would make all the difference in the world. But the number one thing you ought to integrate is honesty. Your church needs to understand exactly how you feel, and they need to be part of the decision going forward. And gosh, if it were me, honestly, I would bring a stool, I would sit down right in the middle of the congregation, and I would say, I want to tell you how I'm feeling. And I want to tell you what I'd like to see, and why I don't think I can continue to do this any longer, and use biblical principles in showing. I want to look at Hebrews chapter 12, verse 12. It says, so then brace up and reinvigorate and set right your slackened and weakened and drooping hands, and strengthen your feeble and palsied and tottering knees, and cut through and make firm and plain and smooth straight paths for your feet. Yes, make them safe and upright and happy paths that go in the right direction, so that the lame and halting limbs may not be put out of the joint, but rather be cured. It's talking about the church, and it's talking about it reinvigorating the church. Let me read this from the Message commentary. It's kind of cool here. So don't sit around on your hands. No more dragging your feet. Clear the path for long-distance runners, so that no one will trip and fall, so no one will step in a hole and sprain an ankle. Help each other out and run for it. Now there's a good one. And folks, that's what we have to do. If you're just playing church, you're going to burn out. If you're not allowing people to be part of the church, using their spiritual gifts and being an integral part of this family, then you're not doing it right, and you're not helping them. So I hope this is helpful for some of you that are stuck in making this decision. You need to make some changes, honestly. Folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.